Welcome to Real Estate Profits. I'm Griselda, and today we're taking your business from busy to brilliant. You're watching Now Media Television. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate Profits. I'm Griselda, your host, and this is Now Media Television. And today we have a very interesting topic on business brokerage. So many people in our audience wonder, what does a business broker do? What is a business brokerage? And what are the benefits of that? Today we have a very dear guest, an expert in the field, Dr. Denis Burke, who is going to enlighten us on the topic of business brokerage. Hello, Dr. Burke, how are you?
Hello, Griselda, how are you?
Wonderful, thank you. Dr. Burke is a president and senior broker at Property Wise Geist based in Sarasota, Florida. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get going here, Dr. Burke?
Essentially, I've been in business my whole life, about 40 years. That's pretty much all of what I've done between business, selling in business, selling products and services. But for a lot of this time being in real estate, owning, managing and developing real estate projects, both for our own family portfolio and for other people.
Okay.
In the last 11 years, got involved in the sale of businesses. Much of our focus is on the restaurant sector, restaurants, bars, cafes, all types of food and beverage. And so we help people sell their businesses and people to buy businesses.
Okay. So an investor, a developer, a broker, you've done it all in real estate from a business standpoint, huh?
Well, if you live a while, you get to do a lot of things.
Well, I'm glad we have you here to share your wisdom with our audience. So now, can you explain what a business broker does in the context of real estate? Many people think they understand, but they feel it's a little bit confusing. Can you kind of just simplify what a business broker does in real estate?
Well, first of all, I'd like to clarify that the selling of a business is very different from the selling of real estate. They actually are two different asset classes.
Okay.
Real estate, as we know it, falls into two subcategories. One that primarily falls into residential or commercial real estate. We just happen to focus primarily in that case on commercial real estate. And then the sale of businesses is the total sale of a total different other commodity, which could range in anything from a coffee shop to a dry cleaners to a car lot, essentially, or car sales, all kinds of businesses. And the buyer profile is generally very different for each category because not all people who want to buy a business want to buy real estate and vice versa.
Okay. All right.
What a business broker does primarily is gains an understanding of someone's business, the operational and financial side of their business. How is this done? This is done through a valuation of tax returns and other financial documents that the business has. And from that evaluation comes up with various recommendations about what the value of that business might be, and therefore can recommend to a seller what might be a good price to put the business on the market at, based on the information that me as a business broker would have retrieved and analyzed from the business.
Okay. So you have access to all this information through a database, and you can basically see what the comparisons are, right?
Well, initially, I don't have access to any information. I just have a business owner that says, hey, I'm thinking about selling my business, my trucking company, for instance. I need to understand, what my options are, what a typical valuation might be for a company of my size. So then from that, I request documents to be released, such as 3 years of tax returns, profit and loss year to date for the current year, balance sheet, a copy of their lease, various things that are normal and standard that a business owner would have. And from that, then I go to work, take several hours looking into those numbers and come up with I learn about the business quickly and I come up with some recommendations for them.
Yeah, and so what I see many business entrepreneurs there is that they don't really know the value of their business. They have their cash flow statement, their balance sheet, their P&L, but they don't really know, what should I ask for? What is my business really worth? So that's what you help them value to determine how much they can get for something that they've dedicated their life to in developing, correct?
That's what I do, yes. And I would say that business selling, like other selling, is somewhat subjective. Like there's no absolute, like if you could hit the
Yeah,
bullseye on the dartboard, I would say there's no absolute in the selling of real estate or the selling of a business as far as a value. But what I can say is that the value of a business is based on what a willing buyer and a willing seller will be willing to come together on. And
right.
generally, if we had an X, our X line, set of lines, it's where
Yes.
the pivot in the middle is the center of all of that is that is the price. But we have to set structure in motion, pricing structure in order for people to come to that conclusion along those various lines.
Yeah. Now, because it is so subjective and there's so much information to go through, and obviously you've done this many, many times, how does working with a business broker benefit someone looking to buy or sell the business?
So a business broker from experience has learned an awful lot that everyday person who owns a business wouldn't know about at all. There are about a dozen steps from beginning to end, from the day they sign the listing agreement all the way to the closing table. If you don't stay on track with those steps, that sequence, and follow that sequence rigidly, you run the risk of the sale falling apart in many cases
Yes.
throughout the process, and you end up shorting yourself on what money you could collect. There's a lot of little nuances, maybe call them tricks of the trade in business brokerage that everyday owner won't know anything about and won't have the skills to be able to overcome objections and deal with issues that come up, because selling a business is a highly complex process.
It is.
There's an awful lot of emotionality involved, because sometimes a seller has owned the business for 25 years and they have their heart is still tugging on them about letting go of their baby, so to speak. And
Yes.
so we deal with the emotionality that some owners feel about letting go of business that they've owned for a long time. We also deal with some of the issues that the adult children have about dad or mom selling the business. And then we
Right.
have issues with the buyer, because the buyer never, most cases, never bought a business through a broker before. So they need a high level of education and consultation as well. So there's a lot of moving trucking parts. It's not like buying a house or a boat or any other thing you might want to buy in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so many pieces, and like you say, it's very subjective. So having a business broker is truly benefits the person buying or selling, because you can make it, it's a business transaction. And obviously you're there to do the best for whomever you're representing, right? The buyer or the seller, but taking all the emotion aside and making sure that you're doing the best for your customers and your clients. So wonderful.
So
Thank you.
in
Go ahead.
about 35 states in the United States, you have to have a license to become a business broker. And so most people don't really know that. In Florida, for instance, where I am, Georgia
Yes.
next door, and other neighboring states, you have to be licensed. However, the states of the United States have not identified a true business broker licensing process. So what they make you do is take a residential real estate licensing course and pass the state exam for
Oh,
real.
wow. Yeah, and so do you, I mean, obviously that's not enough, right? There's so much more to buying and selling a business, not just the licensing, but like you say, you have to be well versed in the regulations of many different states to be able to support customers from around the nation or the world.
So a couple of things that I've done differently. I went to a specialized school and got an M&A certification. M&A stands for Merger and Acquisitions.
Of course.
I also have an MBA. Went back to school after 26 years out and got an MBA, and then subsequently got a DBA. And so I'm sure you know what the differences are, right?
Yeah, the Doctorate of Business Administration. Now, not many people know that. You tell them DBA and they think doing business as. Not for Dr. Burke. This is a doctorate in business administration. So obviously you know your stuff, right? You've been in the business for a long time through experiences and all the transactions that you do. There's a lot of wisdom that you share with your customers. Now, last question for you is choosing a business broker. How do I go about it? There's so many things to think through. How do we go about in choosing the right business broker to partner with when we're going through this process?
I think you can go online and do your own due diligence on business brokers. There are companies out there where the individuals that are they might have a sales license, with the state, a real estate sales license versus a broker license, because it's two different levels of education. So if your business broker has a broker license in real estate, that means he's held to a much higher standard. In the industry of business brokering, there are classes and courses you can take, which designations you wouldn't know anything about if you saw them. They wouldn't like be the same as an MBA or a CPA, but they would just be a designation. And you could look and see if they have some of these business brokering type of designations. But if you look up the internet where I'm at here in Florida, I'm all among just the very 3 people that I know in the whole state of Florida that have a doctorate in business.
Wonderful.
So if you want someone who is high level, who has been a court expert in disputes, between families about valuations and business, you want someone who also can do your real estate as well as your commercial real estate. That is the building that houses the business. You want them to sell that or lease that as well as sell the business. Then you need someone who has an expertise in both areas, not just a sales license in residential real estate.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. So we've learned about business brokerage. We've learned about the benefits of using a business broker and even how to go about selecting one. And obviously, the purpose is to maximize your profit. So we'll be right back with more insights on how to optimize, scale, and succeed. I'm your host, Griselda, and this is Now Media Television. We'll be right back. We'll be right back with more ways to optimize, scale, and succeed. This is Real Estate Profits on Now Media Television.